Hi, PowerShell community, and welcome our guest today, Thorsten Butz. He is a Microsoft certified trainer. He's coming from Germany. He's one of the 40 plus speakers of the upcoming PowerShell conference here, which takes place in the beautiful country of Austria. Thorsten, thank you very much for your time. Would you please introduce yourself so we get a better idea of who you are and what you do?
Yes, hello, Michael. Thanks for having me, first of all. Yeah, my name is Thorsten. As Michael said, I'm from Germany. And my origins are in the networking and infrastructure space. So I'm an engineer, customer engineer, self-employed for a long time now. And my primary pleasure is to educate people. That's what I'm doing now for a long time. I'm an MCT for 22 years. So you see, I'm an old guy.
Wow.
Time flies. It's hard to believe.
Okay. You already mentioned you have a podcast. Is that correct?
Yes, right. That's just one of my side projects. I name it myself a slowcast because I really admire those people who publish every week. And I'm just doing that as a side project because I love recording. Originally, I loved music. I still love music. So these things come together. And I name it a slowcast because I publish so seldom, 1 or twice a year. But it's really my pleasure to meet people. And sometimes it's in English, sometimes it's in German, simply because I like to talk to people just like Bruce Piet, Jeffrey Snover, Joe Aiello, Steve Lee. Yeah, and these guys do not speak German, so we switch to English and you might listen to it. I think it's pretty interesting because we talk for a pretty long time, which might be unusual. So it's it's one to 2 hours usually.
Wow.
So I invite you to listen to that. Sliding Windows DE. You will find me on any podcatcher.
Oh, okay. We will add it to the description. Thorsten, let's talk about your sessions at the PowerShell conference. What I saw in the schedule, you have 2 sessions.
Yes.
One is about video processing.
Mhm.
Okay. And chasing the second 2.0 functions done right. Would you please tell us a little bit about your sessions and why should the attendee visit your sessions at the PSCONF?
Yeah. I start with the second one because that's pretty easy to explain. The second one about video processing is kind of housekeeping session. You might know that I was in charge to support the video processing from the PowerShell conference throughout the last years when it happened to be in Hanover. When Tobias was the man in charge and I helped a little bit to publish all the videos. So I always was looking for ways to automate that. And I will talk a little bit about my experience because just you can imagine that video processing and PowerShell, that's far away from each other because we talk about FFmpeg, we talk about REST APIs. But if you take a closer look, then you will find out that PowerShell might help you. So this is a housekeeping session. And we will see, maybe it will come back next year and we talk about the things that we learned this year. So we will see. The first one is a real PowerShell session. I'm focusing about a good way, a proper way to write functions, which seems to be not the usual type of topic for a PowerShell conference, because if you look back, we most of the times we talk about really, I name them esoteric topics, really, really special things that you rarely do in real life. So, and I thought it would be nice to have a topic that you really can utilize in your daily life. And if you think about PowerShell, what is PowerShell in its inner core? What is the heart of PowerShell? To me, it's pipelining. To me, is dealing with objects. So if you put these both things together, we're always talking about the heart of the PowerShell is the pipelining of objects. And if you write your own script commandlets, if you write an advanced function, you will notice that there are a number of possibilities and there are a number of things that can go wrong. And I will talk about the proper use of arrays. I will talk about the proper use of the begin, process, and end blocks. And I think it's pretty it's pretty interesting to talk about that, because if you could look, how is that done in real life? If you focus on the build and commandlets, for example, most of them are doing it wrong from my perspective as a user. So I will talk about that.
So we all learn how to write functions the correct way.
Yes.
and
to save, of course, to save time. Yeah. That's because chasing the seconds. Yeah. You want it to be fast.
I'm really looking forward for the video processing. So maybe I learned something for the next PowerShell conference.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
I have to edit 25 to 30 videos. So maybe that helps for the next one. What I've seen in your profile and LinkedIn, you're a 2-time book author. I also did some assistance of the books and also written one book by myself. And I know that it is a lot of work without, how to say that income. So you do not get rich with a book or famous or something like this. So it is a lot of work. But what motivates you to write a book? What motivates you to write those 2 books?
Yeah, there are 2 answers to this question. The real answer is that someone asked me to do it, and I said yes. The maybe a little bit nicer answer is that you could become rich, but that's long ago. Today you will not be rich because you get so much money out of the book directly. But the good thing is that you really have to focus on the important stuff. You really have to put the things together that lie somewhere on your table. And it's obvious that you are visible through that. And in my job as a self-employed freelance engineer and trainer, this is, of course, it's super important. And I'm proud, because if you drop it, I plug it here, of course. Yeah. For the English-speaking listeners, this is obviously the PowerShell Pocket reference that you know from the author Lee Holmes, a fantastic colleague that started this sequel. The German of this edition is I wrote it on my own, so it's not a translation. It was a translation in the beginning. So of course, you can imagine there is some pressure if you have to rewrite a book in your own language, no translation, and the English colleague that does the same book from a marketing perspective is Lee Holmes. So it was my pleasure to try that, and you will find out if you read it if it's a good try.
And of course, it is a really good feeling to have a book with your name on it. So what makes me proud to have a book where my name is on and I worked for this. That's tremendous.
And if I might say that, O'Reilly is a very well-known publishing company. There are more great publishing companies, so it's not a problem. And it's a good idea to publish books on your own. Many colleagues do that. It's a very good idea. You get more money out of it. But of course, if you know the publishing company, because you have so much books in your own bookstore, then of course it's a pleasure. Maybe just one comment for the German listeners. There are so many great books out there. And I always tell my customers, the best book is the one that you read. So I don't care which book you buy, but read it. And my primary pitch, I learned that over the years, is that my book is pretty small. It's got 200 and a little bit pages. So sometimes customers are afraid to read that 1,000 pages books. So I found out that's my little niche. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Okay. So get your books to all the German readers. Get this book. Thorsten, you live in Germany, in Cologne, I think, or near Cologne?
Cologne area. From the North American perspective, I live near Cologne. Yeah, I'm living in Ruhrgebiet.
Okay, so I assume you have been in Austria before. This will not be your first visit in Austria, correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay, but when you think about Austria, what do you think is typical for Austria?
2 things. I can show you one thing. To start with, the first thing, they do speak a strange kind of German, but that's only interesting for us. But the most important thing is this one. There are so many things that are a pleasure in Austria, and I really invite you to try some of the great cake. The most famous may be the Sachertorte, the Sacher cake. And you should really try it. And there are many more great things in Austria, in Vienna especially.
So I think I will know the answer for the next question, but what are you looking for to do or to see or to eat in Austria?
Yeah, of course. You already saw it. And of course, most famous in Vienna is the coffee, the great coffee and coffee culture. And if maybe we have the chance to get another mug from the PowerShell conference, this is the perfect couple. So.
Okay. Do you stay longer in Austria or just for the conference?
Not yet decided, but it would be desirable.
Okay, not yet done. So the last question for today, and this is something everyone needs to answer. What is your favorite PowerShell commandlet and your favorite PowerShell module?
I do not know if I hijack your session here, but I would like to nominate 3 of them because all good things come in threes. So, and many people who know me know that I'm hypercritical. So I want to start with the worst commandlet that I know. And it's a real issue to really find the worst one, but I'd like to nominate a get Windows optional feature. That is so ludicrous. I really would like to have a PowerShell conference just about the ugliness of this one commandlet, and I would name a few more. But on the other side of the fence, to make you happy now, I think there are 2 outstanding commandlets for me. The first one is for each object, because for each object is, to me, it's a metaphor for what PowerShell is all about. It's about the pipelining, it's about objects, and it's about, and that's the most important thing, it's about simplicity. People forget that, especially at the PowerShell conference, you don't get that. Simplicity is one of the major features of PowerShell. And the second one is the maybe still underestimated commandlet at all is invoke command. This simplicity that connects to the idea of the so-called fan-out mechanism, that you have an array of computers and you can process code in parallel without doing anything. That's just amazing. And this is just the reason why so many C# developers love PowerShell, because it's so easy. And an invoke command is a great commandlet.
Okay. And what about your module?
I thought about
that one you use on a regular basis?
Yes, of course. We all use a lot of modules on a regular basis, and I would like to nominate a module from Doug Finke. I hope I pronounce his name well. It's import Excel, because that's really super useful. And as I told you before, I'm from the bottom of my heart, I'm a trainer, I'm an instructor, and import Excel is so great for the mere mortals, for the average guys. You can understand how easy it is to import and export Excel files, even without having Microsoft Office installed. And I really like how well it's done. It's super useful, and it's a great and beautiful commandlet. So import Excel, try it. It's on the PowerShell gallery.
Okay. Thorsten, thank you very much for your time. Any last words to the community?
Yes, of course. Start scripting, read the books that are already in your bookstore, and have a nice cup of coffee and a cake in Vienna. See you.
Okay.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you very much, and see you in Vienna. Bye-bye.